Alrighty guys, how you going? It's John Ranieri here again with another video on, standing in front of it, voice. Now I think this is a super important topic once again to cover, because I feel like a lot of people who want to learn voice or watch videos on YouTube about the voice and hear all these vocal coaches react and talk about voice, is that they're actually really forgetting that the voice is a primal thing. We all have a voice. We can all sing, we can all make noises. There's absolutely nothing about a voice that you have to change in order to sing. Does that make sense? Like, I don't have to teach you how to sing, you can just sing. I've never met anyone who just can't sing or hum or whistle, you know what I mean? Like, it's just an instinct to sing. So I thought I'd make this video because there's a lot of, you know, reactions and a lot of fights on vocal pedagogy and I should be doing the Swedish Italian method, but no, you should be doing, you know, singing through your nose, and you need more nasality, you need more this, you need blah 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 blah. Like, there's this whole bunch of stuff, especially like people who have studied singing themselves as opposed to actually getting a training in something, and then they're analysing performances of artists, like professional artists, and they're like commenting on what they're doing. And the thing that I always find funny is it's a lot of bias. Like, they'll find their favourite artists and be like, oh, this is amazing, even though the vocal technique of the artist is subpar in an operatic sense. And that's what I'm trying to talk about today, is the fact that I have an operatic bias towards voice because I'm operatically trained. There you go. And, you know, I'm not going to say it any other way. So everything that I listen to in singing is going to be biased by my training. And let's get into it a little bit further. So, everyone has a voice. Everyone has a voice. And then what happens is they start singing. And with that singing, they either just remain untrained, and by untrained I mean they explore their voice and they can develop a good voice, a clean voice, a head voice, a mixed voice, a falsetto, and maybe scream if that's the genre. They can develop all that kind of stuff without any actual training, and like anyone can do it, right? Because, you know, boys mimicking girls is doing head voice and falsetto and mix. When you yell at someone on a soccer pitch, you're screaming, and clean is just talking, you know, blah blah blah. So this is untrained voices in my classification. You could classify these any other way, and, you know, I don't want anyone in the comments being like, you classified it wrong. This is just for the sake of explaining a point. And then there are trained singers, right? So the supreme methods that teach music within singing, I should really take off metal, because metal's not really a supreme method. I kind of put that up there because to scream for a long time, you kind of have to have some training, otherwise it's going to be a very disastrous road, and I will show you that later. But so trained singing is classical, jazz and opera, and yeah, there's contemporary singing out there. I've never done it, so I would be hesitant to say it's any different to opera, or classical or jazz. I think it's just a blend of them. Like, you know, I could put it in here. I'll put it in here for all of you guys who are going to get real mad at me for not putting it in. So there's contemporary, blah blah blah. Okay, so you can learn a contemporary method of singing, but it would probably stem from opera or jazz or classical. Sorry about my phone, it's going a bit crazy. That's alright. So we got opera, jazz and classical as our main ones. Contemporary and metal, let's just say the tier 2, and these are tier 1s. Okay, so they're still classified as trained. And then what you have is mainstream voices. And what I mean by mainstream voices is there's the technical approach of mainstream and there's the business approach of mainstream voices. And oftentimes, mainstream voices are people who are a brand. They can utilize technology to their advantage, or they have a very amazing voice and they can just they can utilize the branding to make them all money. So at the end of the day, if you're going to be a professional singer, you'd only be a professional singer if you can make money. In my mind, I mean, like, you can enjoy singing for the rest of your life. You can get better and better and better at it, but you wouldn't really call yourself a professional singer unless you're making an income out of it. And that doesn't have to be millions and millions, it just has to be a comfortable living out of it, in my mind. That's when you can call yourself a professional singer. And then the people who end up in mainstream music from any age, because obviously jazz was mainstream at one point, Elvis Presley was mainstream at one point, rock was mainstream at one point, the Beatles, blah blah blah. So the technicality part of mainstream voices is that you can, it fixes the problem that the singer's having, which is essentially just vocal freedom or having a sound, which is part of their brand, and then they can replicate it over and over and over again. So that's usually the way I see singing, is that there's 3 different categories. There's the untrained voice, there's a mainstream voice, and then there's a trained voice. And crossover is enormous between all of these. So anyone could be any kind of thing at any specific time in their life, and they could make a business out of it, right? But I mean, like, if you had no technical problems because you could sing everything, you'd probably, if you could get the business side of it working, you'd probably get a pretty good business. Obviously that's down to what the audience and the market likes, because hell, you're not going to make any money if no one wants to hear you sing and you've got a terrible voice, but it's so free. So humongous amount of factors to the voice. But I just wanted to get these distinctions off my chest, because I find it funny when kids, especially kids, they can sing really quite well, and they just want to sing Ed Sheeran, or they want to sing Shawn Mendes kind of songs. And if you're really, really, really honest about it, Ed Sheeran, Shawn Mendes, they've got okay voices. And I'm talking about from an opera bias, remember, so don't shoot me down because I think they have okay voices, because people love them. People love Ed Sheeran, people love Shawn Mendes. They're making a killing out of their business, and they don't really have any technical problems, which is why they can sing over and over and over and over again. Okay, so, hey, that's amazing. Honestly, it's amazing. They can write amazing songs, they can tell amazing stories, and their voice, their primal voice, their untrained voice. I don't know about Shawn Mendes, and I don't really know about Ed Sheeran, but from the sounds of it, is that they're not actually trained in the sense that I'm talking about. So, they make amazing amount of money and amazing amount of business out of what I would say is an untrained voice. And, funnily enough, because of this and their untrained voices, because they could make money out of it, they then become a mainstream voice. And this becomes essentially the new kind of trained, right? So contemporary came out of this. People want to know how to sound like Ed Sheeran. Because Elvis Presley has more of a classical jazz operatic approach to his singing, just like Frank Sinatra or Dean Martin, like any of those crooners really have a good vocal technique. And then it's kind of morphed out of that, and that I think comes from the 80s when you have a lot of metal bands and rock became a big thing and technique was thrown out the window for the sake of just singing a song expressively. And that's the other thing I want to say with all of this kind of stuff is it's there's good vocal technique and then there's performance, and you have to weigh up the risks of, oh, well, if I want to scream for a whole 60 minutes because I'm going to get paid $300,000, well then you do it, because you know you get heaps of exposure, you get lots of brand publicity, blah blah blah, and yeah, your vocal cords will take a hit, but like, you know, it outweighs it. But if you're getting paid $200 and you go and scream in a club, and you paid $200 for 3 years straight and you're just screaming in a club, or you're singing poorly and you can't talk after you've sung your set, then really you're weighing up not much. And I would say that is a mistake, because Matt Corby's another great example where he gets really raspy in his voice. The guy's making money out of it. Like, you can't argue with that. I can't say he's got a bad vocal technique or a good vocal technique. He's making he's making a living out of his music, his primal voice, his trained voice. You know, that's the way it all works with the singing. Is that I don't have to sit here and go through everything I know about operatic singing and then be like, oh, tut 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 tut, listen to this singer because that high note seemed a little bit squeezed. Well, he should have done more nasality or more open throat. Like, it would just be futile of me, and I'm wasting my time and your time just talking about what professional singers are doing with their voice. I mean, like, unless they have a real cock up and they can't sing anymore and they disappear from the stage, they're the kinds of people who have figured out the business side and now need to do the technical work. So a great example of that is Avenged Sevenfold. If you look him up, Matt Shadows used to scream all the time. He got a vocal nodule. Had to get surgery. I think he got surgery twice. He actually recently, I'm pretty sure they recently cancelled their tour because his vocal nodes came back again. And now when you hear him live, he doesn't scream anymore because it's not worth not talking to make money. You know what I mean? Like, not talking for the rest of your life. I'm not talking about like not talking for a day. I'm talking about gone. Your vocal cords are just fried. So this is what this is all about. Is that if you want to become a professional singer, you have a really good voice, but you want to sound like the people in the mainstream, you don't have to sing opera, you don't have to sing jazz, you don't have to sing classical, you don't have to sing anything. As long as you can do this kind of well, and you can sort out your brand, and you can hold a tune to the point where you can replicate it and there's no problems, then by all means go and explore the music industry side of it, because if you can write a song and you can sing a song with some emotion and tell a really good story, who am I to tell you to sing better or to get singing lessons? The only reason why you would come and get singing lessons is because you can't sing, you can't replicate it, or you got a serious vocal problem. So that's it. Like, that's it for everything. Opera, metal, contemporary jazz, blues, classical, pop, Lady Gaga, to all the way to Pavarotti. They're all doing exactly what they love to do, singing and using singing as a tool to do that. And if that means that they have to go see a teacher, then they have to go see a teacher. You can't shortcut it. But there's no point going and seeing a teacher if you can sing like Ed Sheeran, because you're more likely to go see someone who can tell you how to market yourself properly, sing in the right places, build up your brand awareness, and turn that more into a business. And if while you're doing that you think, oh, my voice could actually be better than what it sounds like, then you go see a voice teacher who can take you up that strand. And in my humble biased opinion, the strongest of all these is this first tier, the opera, jazz and classical. I was about to say opera, but all three are really great. I've never done the contemporary thing. I think I bought one course once and it was a bit of a jip. And it used, looking back on it, it used operatic techniques anyway. It just didn't explain it very well, and it just kind of like, it was like, oh, just do this and that'll happen, and or, you know, blow out air until your diaphragm works. It was like so scattered, whereas it wasn't actually it wasn't a genuine theory of how to sing. And opera, jazz and classical, not so much jazz, but opera and classical have a very, very structured theory, even if it's just like one dude has a structure. And contemporary nowadays does too, because of marketing and all that kind of crap. But anyway, I'm going to ramble on into a ditch, and I'm going to get ripped apart with this video. But my whole point of this is, the voice needs no training unless you can't replicate it and you have a problem. If you have a good voice, like I said, and you can sing all the songs you want to sing without a problem, and you can replicate it and people don't squirm at the sound of your voice, then you got to start looking at the business side of things, because that's where professional lifestyle choices will come from. That's all I was trying to say. All the pop, all the stuff, just my biases and my opinions. Hope that doesn't offend anyone too much, and if it does, great. That's it.